So Alan Shearer and Thierry Henry are the first two to be picked, but who are the other 6 players who are going to be nominated for the Premier League Hall of Fame? Right, so the new Premier League Hall of Fame has been created and announced, and the requirements you've got to have is either 250 Premier League appearances or won a Golden Boot, kept over like 100 clean sheets or something, scored over 100 goals, had a Player of the Season award. There's many awards that you can get to be nominated, and there is a bunch of nominees, great players. You've got the likes of Vieira, Bergkamp, Gerrard, Frank Lampard, Ashley Cole, Drogba of the recent years, Van Persie, Tony Adams, Sol Campbell. There's so many great players, and there's going to be a lot of great players who are going to miss out. But we're kicking off straight away. My first player, I've got 3 that, for me, have to be picked into this Hall of Fame, alongside Thierry Henry and Alan Shearer. And the first one is Roy Keane. Roy Keane, without him, Man United don't win as many Premier Leagues. They don't win the Champions League without him in the team. He pushed Man United to do their best every game. He would, if players were doing crap, he would tell them about it. He had arguments in the tunnel. He hated certain teams and obviously he wouldn't get away with it nowadays. He'd be sent off every single game. But he was a leader on the pitch, off the pitch. No matter what you did, if you made a mistake, he would tell you about it. He would let you bloody know. And he brought the best out of everyone around him. And Roy Keane, one of the best Premier League captains anyone's ever seen, if not the best. There's only 1 or 2 that can compete with him in terms of the titles he won, the leadership that he's shown. And yeah, Roy Keane for me has to be in this Premier League Hall of Fame. Now, next up, we're going with someone who I think made football an art. He was in the Invincible team, him and Henry, and it's Denis Bergkamp. That iconic skill turn that he did, and to score that goal is like forever written into everyone's minds. Brilliant play. He didn't score as many goals as some people, but he got loads of assists. He won a few titles, part of that Invincible era. And he didn't win as many Premier League titles as some players who were in these nominations, but he was the guy who was elegant, skillful in his play, and he kind of made football an art. Just brilliant, Denis Bergkamp. He has to be put into this Hall of Fame. I think near enough everyone should have him in their nominees, because what he did was brilliant, beautiful player, and he just has to be put into this. Brilliant player. I think should be everyone's number 1 player on this list. Now, next up is someone who is going to be a bit controversial. He played for a 1 club only. He didn't win a Premier League title, but he carried Liverpool week in, week out, pushed them above their weight, beating the likes of Man United, Chelsea, Newcastle, Blackburn. And without him, they wouldn't have won as many trophies as they can. Obviously, he didn't win a Premier League trophy, and it slipped away from him, literally. In that season where they had Suarez and stuff and they lost to Chelsea. But it is Steven Gerrard. Gerrard. Growing up, this guy would only score bangers. You'd turn on Match of the Day, boom, free kick into the top left, boom, long range from just past the half line, back of the net. He was honestly such a great player, and it's a real credit to him that he's been in this conversation and he's never won a Premier League trophy. In my opinion, he's better than the likes of Scholes, Lampard. And he really did carry Liverpool. The players that he had to play with, obviously he did have Torres, Suarez. Good rhyme there. But then he was playing with the likes of Barini, Joe Allen. You've got to think of these players. Skirtle, Moreno, Mignolet, who weren't too good. And if he was in a better team, a Man United, which he did get offered to, he would have won countless number of Premier Leagues. He obviously won a lot of Champions League, which shows what he could achieve and what he did. Obviously, they had Xabi Alonso and stuff in that team, but without him, they don't win at Istanbul. They don't win as many trophies as he can, and he really carried this team. Like Klopp said when they won the Premier League, he carried Liverpool on its legs for about 10 to 15 years. It was all Gerrard. He's a club legend, and obviously the dream for Liverpool fans is that he comes back, takes charge after Klopp, and wins the Premier League trophy as a manager, which would just be romantic, wouldn't it? Amazing. And Gerrard, for me, definitely deserves to be put in because of the way he's taken a team and elevated it to the next level. And yes, he hasn't won a Premier League trophy, which contradicts itself. It's a Premier League Hall of Fame, but he changed Premier League history realistically. He's got loads of goals scored. Not everyone loves Gerrard, but everyone puts him in the category of who is the best midfielder in the Premier League ever. He's in the category of Vieira, Lampard, as I said. and those type of players. And for me, he probably is. There's maybe Vieira and stuff can compete with him, but he is one of, if not the best Premier League midfielder ever. And for that, Steven Gerrard deserves to be in this Hall of Fame. Now, that does mean that Frank Lampard is not in it, and it's hard because he's won a load of Premier League titles. He's a goal-scoring machine from midfield. Him and Drogba were amazing. That Chelsea team was brilliant after Abramovich pumped his money into the club. Gerrard, for me, was the better player, and carrying Liverpool all those years, I've put him ahead of Lampard. A lot of people will obviously put Lampard in and not put Gerrard in, but it's just my opinion. So Gerrard is the third member of the Hall of Fame. Now we're going on to the fourth one. It's a bit of a different. I didn't want to have all attackers, so we've gone for someone who started out at Villa, was the first keeper to score a goal in the Premier League. He then went to United, kept hundreds of clean sheets, won the Premier League, won the Champions League. Absolutely amazing, and it's Peter Schmeichel. Everyone who's the best keeper in the Premier League, it's always Schmeichel. You put your ultimate 11 in the Premier League, Schmeichel is always the one in there. Fantastic. The little handball jump he did. He'd jump out of players, didn't he? Spreading his body and would always save it. Brilliant goalkeeper. Man United, obviously, they had Van der Sar afterwards. They was really good at their keeper recruitment. But Schmeichel was part of that just era of Man United dominance. And for me, he's getting put in the Premier League Hall of Fame because he is, hands down, the best goalkeeper that the Premier League has ever seen. Is anyone coming close? Van der Sar, maybe. That's really it. But for me, it's Peter Schmeichel. And I've put him in because he was just an iconic keeper. And he is my fourth Premier League Hall of Famer. And my fifth Hall of Famer, he's fairly... was in the earlier generation, the next generation of Man United's trophy success. He was the kind of rebuild that Fergie did, where you had Rio and Vidic, and Vidic is my fifth member of the Hall of Fame for me. I watched him on match day all the time. He was crunching tackles, brilliant player, won countless trophies, a rock at the back for Man United. Obviously, for me, you can either put him or Ferdinand in. Ferdinand is a bit more of a Rolls Royce, but Vidic got stuck in there, would put his head in front of everything, and he was a brilliant player, scored a lot of goals as well from defence, and he was part of that second wave of the trophy success where they had the likes of Van Persie and stuff. He was just amazing. Watching that Man United team countlessly win with Rooney and stuff. Obviously, Rooney doesn't get into it because he only retired this year. But yeah, Vidic was an absolute rock at the back. A defender as well, which goes into Premier League Hall of Fame. What a player. What a guy. I mean, him and Ferdinand are probably the best Premier League partnership ever. There's no one who comes real close to it, to be fair. And yeah, what a guy. He helped Man United win countless Premier League trophies, countless FA Cups, and without him, would that second wave be as good? I don't think so, because he was a proper leader from the back. Him and Ferdinand were a sturdy rock. No one really got past them. And yeah, Vidic is my fifth man to be in the Hall of Fame. Now, the last spot is up for grabs. We still haven't picked Vieira. Lampard, could he make it in? I've said he's not, but was I lying? You'll never know. Well, you might know in a minute. Scholes, Beckham. There's so many. There's five there. Drogba deserves a shout as well because of what he did, winning the titles and stuff. And my sixth Premier League Hall of Fame is going to be the Chelsea man, the Chelsea boy. I said he was going... No, I'm joking. It's not Lampard, unfortunately. It's either... This is really close. There's some brilliant players. Beckham deserves to be in it with his free kicks. He definitely does. He won a lot of trophies. But I think I'm going to have to go with the man who had a massive rivalry with Roy Keane. And he was part of that invincible season as well. A brute in his prime. Obviously, Lampard did it for longer. So for me, it's a toss-up between Vieira and Lampard. But I think I'm going to stick with Patrick Vieira, an absolute animal in midfield. Him and Roy Keane, the battles they used to have, it was Arsenal United. And he was much like Roy Keane, carrying that midfield, Arsenal midfield. He was the one who would put in a tackle, square up to players, and a brilliant player all round. Without him, things don't work the same with Arsenal. They don't probably get the invincible season. And although they didn't get any success in the Champions League, this is a Premier League Hall of Fame we're talking about, and I think Vieira definitely deserves to be in it. It's a shame that Lampard didn't get in it, but it is what it is. So to recap, my 6 Hall of Famers are Roy Keane, Bergkamp, Gerrard, Schmeichel, Vidic and Vieira. You can make a nice little six-side team with that. You got Schmeichel in goal, Vidic, Vieira, Gerrard, Roy Keane, Bergkamp. Not too shabby. You could play one from Cam as well. But yeah, it's a really difficult job picking that Hall of team. The players that are unlucky to miss out, I haven't even mentioned him. Eric Cantona, I think, because he was that spark that helped United push on to get those trophies when he moved from Leeds. Drogba, who I think's a little bit underrated. He won them the Champions League, but this is Premier League we're talking about. He won countless titles, but not quite on the goal-scoring record of an Alan Shearer or so. Rio Ferdinand misses out, but I've put his partner in Vidic. Tony Adams, David Beckham. I mean, Beckham's unlucky to miss out. Ian Wright, who I haven't even spoke about. What a player he was. And the story that he has from coming from working in like a factory, was he, or a bricklayer, to going up to Arsenal. Brilliant story. And it actually is a real shame. I really wish I could put Ian Wright in, but I don't think he can budge any of them. Maybe I can't take a Vieira. If I'm taking a Vieira, I'm putting Lampard straight in. So yeah, it is a really difficult decision. A lot of people have different opinions, but for me, these guys definitely deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. The real one that really misses out is Lampard, obviously, but I'm sorry, I've put Gerrard in ahead of him. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.